It's 2025 and I just finished up putting together a list of some of my favorite builds from 2023. And today, I'm going to show you how to get one of those builds. Now, I could just simply pick one of the projects to build you. However, I want to make this kind of fun. So what I've decided to do is put each project on the wheel so we can spin it and let the wheel choose our fate. Now, before we dive into it, make sure that you smack that like button and hit subscribe. It's absolutely free. Let's go. So over here on our list, I've got several projects from 2023. Only thing left to do is give it a spin. So looks like we're going with the hat rack. I went back and watched that video and I was kind of surprised at the end. I had a big plan for the spin of that project lined up, but I never got around to it. I'm gonna modify this thing like you won't believe as soon as I get the opportunity because my wheels are turning. But I do remember what I had in mind. So here's what I'm looking to do. I wanna take a 2x4 and we're gonna be ripping some 45-degree bevels on both sides of that 2x4, and there'll be two pieces, and then ultimately we'll wind up cutting a dado right through the center on both pieces. But first, we're gonna head over to the joiner and planer and get this piece cleaned up. Let's go. I'm not taking too much off for this 2x4. I just wanna get some of those rough edges and bows out of this piece. That way it's a little bit easier to work with over at the table saw when I cut those bevels. All right, so we've got those 45-degree bevels cut on both sides of this 2x4. And next, we're gonna get the two pieces cut. My 2x4 is 28 1/4. I'm just gonna get two pieces cut to 14 inches. And we'll take care of these cuts over at our miter saw. I'll get our first piece cut, and then I'll use our first cut to line up with our second piece and get that cut the same measurement. After I get those pieces cut, I'm gonna swap out my single blade for a dado stack. I'm gonna set my blades for 3/4 of an inch on my dado stack to cut these dados. And remember to unplug your saw. Now we'll be cutting the dados on the flat part of our 2x4s. So I need to mark center. And we'll line up the apex of our blade with the center mark and cut these dados. Ultimately, I'm gonna get these dados cut at 3/4 of an inch deep by 1 inch in width. I'll sneak up on both cuts, assuring that I get the accurate measurements I'm looking for. We've got our blade swapped back to our single blade, and I'm gonna be using this stick of walnut that I got, and it's just a piece of scrap that's laying around. And I'm gonna turn this into our hangers. I'll get these ripped 1 inch by 3/4, and then we'll play around with the lengths that we wanna make them. Before we figure out what lengths we want, I'm gonna cut a 45-degree bevel on the back side of each of these pieces. Off camera, I played around with the lengths that I was gonna make these, and I decided to go with 4 1/4 for each piece. I'll use the stop block and get that set up over here at the miter saw and get each of these cut to 4 1/4. I'm gonna install a sacrificial piece to my drill press, and I'm gonna set some jigs up for consistent holes. I'll go ahead and lay out for my holes that I'm gonna be drilling at the short point of this 45-degree bevel. We're gonna be coming in at 1/4 inch from the back, and we're gonna be coming up 1/8 inch from that short point. And I'll punch a hole at those intersecting points. I'll go ahead and get my 1/4 inch bit installed. All right, I've got my bit lined up with my punch mark, and I'm gonna take some 1x scraps and just CA glue them to my jig here. That way, we can get consistent holes. For my back piece of the jig, I'm gonna use a speed square and just make a couple tick marks where I need to install this back 1x. We'll add a dab of glue And I'll hit this piece with some activator and we're all set. Now, instead of trying to drill through this 45-degree bevel and hold everything steady, I don't have any kind of 45-degree bevel template for a drill. So what I'm gonna have to do is cut both of these in half. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be using my bandsaw because I wanna keep as much material in this piece as possible. And I don't have a thinner blade for my table saw. So I'll just make a nice slice right through the center of these pieces and keeping them in orientation so I don't get mixed up, because we'll be gluing these right back together. Now this next step is very important. Go ahead and choose 3 of the hooks for your piece. And we're gonna go ahead with the top one first and just mark whichever one is what, that way you don't get mixed up. Now we want our top piece to be flush with the very top of our piece here, and I'll add a clamp to hold this in place. Once you get it flush with the top, we'll go ahead with another 1/4-inch bit and let the hole that we drilled in that hook be the guide for your drill bit, and go ahead and drill all the way through. And then we'll do the same thing with our other side. You can go ahead and give it a test fit. That worked out great. Ultimately, we'll wind up having to cut these hooks down to fit back inside our slot, but we can do that later after we get all of our holes drilled out for these hooks. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that process for all of my holes, and I'll meet you back here. To figure out the placement for our center hook, I've got my dowels installed in my top and bottom hooks. That way it's set in place and I can gauge the spacing where I want this to be. The key to success is just taking your time and just line everything up slowly, accurately, and this should turn out just perfect. Nice. Before we move on, we're going to go ahead and get these glued back together. Ooh, add a dab of glue, 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 add a dab of glue. And you're gonna want to give this a rub joint so we can stiffen up a bit. That's right. We'll add a dab of CA glue, and that'll help act as a temporary clamp. Add a few good seconds of pressure. We'll let those sit right there while they dry up, and I will meet you back here. Now that we've got these back dry again, I'm going to go ahead and glue the two together. Add a dab of glue. And I should be able to get a couple of clamps right over these little notches here. While our piece is drying, I'm going to be cutting our dowel stock. For the dowels, I'll be using 1/4-inch copper. I'll get 6 pieces cut to 2 inches. All right, I've got those 6 pieces of copper cut, and next thing I'm going to do is add some magnets to the back of our hooks. I'm going to set my marking wheel for 1 inch. I'll scribe from the top of my hook on the back side at that 1 inch mark on all pieces. Then I'll set my marking wheel for center of my hooks, and I'll scribe the center at those 1 inch marks. We'll get all those punched. I've got a 1/4-inch magnet, so we got a 1/4-inch bit, and we're going to drill down about an 1/8 inch. What we're going to do is dry fit our pieces. Now what I'm going to do is take 2 magnets. I'm going to set them in our hook, And we'll put that second magnet on the hook. I'm gonna take a Sharpie and just color in nice and heavy on that magnet. And we'll take and dry fit this piece, and then we'll push down with some pressure. And what that'll do is leave us with a Sharpie mark that we need to drill out, and that's where our magnets will go. I'll do that on each of these magnets. And there we go. I'm going to do that with all the rest of these magnets, and I'll meet you back here. I'm going to line up my piece with the center of my left side and the center of that key slot bit and add 2 key slots to this piece, making sure that I avoid where those dowels need to be placed. Next, I'm going to get everything sanded to 150 grit. Now that we got that all sanded down, I'm going to give it a little blow job. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and hit everything with some spray. We'll go ahead and get our key slots transferred to our tape. That way we can get them transferred to our wall. And we'll take this tape to the wall, find our stud, and install 2 2-inch T20 screws, just like normal. And I'll tell you what, rock stars, this is probably one of my favorite spins that I've ever done on one of my projects. The look from the top is absolutely sick, and it's just the perfect piece. I've never seen anything quite like it, to be honest. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments and what you may do different. A piece like this, I could easily get 60, 75 bucks. Over time, I'll probably make some minor tweaks to it. However, this is one badass hat rack.